One of my biggest struggles that I went through whenever I was first starting to try to improve myself and to become a better man was stopping all the overthinking that I was doing. I did it so much that it basically drove me insane to the point where I was a shell of the person that I actually am. I would overthink about how I walk, how I talked, the things that I would be doing for fun, people I hung out with. I would overthink literally everything. And I'm sure there's a lot of people who are going through the same thing, especially if you're in the early stages of trying to better yourself and you're just getting into the space where you want to be a better person. This is something that you might be doing a lot, especially if you're more on the insecure side and not super confident in yourself. So I just wanted to make this to talk about the things that I did over the years to become more confident and just somebody who doesn't really overthink. I just do what I want to be doing, don't filter myself, and just live how I want to be living. So first of all, the first thing, and probably the most important thing, is very obvious, but it's just to become more confident in yourself. There's so many ways to go about doing that, and a lot of the things that I'm going to mention after this are things that tie into becoming more confident. Those things led me to being more confident, but two of the main things that got me to just really embrace who I am, how I look, the way I think, was really all physical things for me. Things that involved using my body, and they all gave me a sense of discomfort, but also made me work. So really the main thing, and just be honest, was the gym. I know it's about weightlifting a lot. For me, it was the gym, but it could really be any type of physical activity, because later on, it ended up being jiu-jitsu. Jiu-jitsu and kickboxing, but I didn't do kickboxing for long, so it was mostly jiu-jitsu. Got me in a space where I was around people who I was uncomfortable with. They were all beating me up because they were all more skilled at the hobby than me, and they were all just way better. Even the people who were more unathletic than me were still better than me, which drove me crazy. So that led me to becoming more confident by realizing that I don't have to live up to a certain standard, and that's a big deal, is shedding off the expectations that people have of you or that you have of yourself. But with the gym, it was just putting in all this hard work to become something that I wanted to be, to physically look how I wanted to look. I went from 120 pounds, bulked all the way up over the years to 200 pounds. Yeah, I'm a little too heavy. Let me backtrack a little bit, because I was looking rough. My face was all puffy. I was getting a little husky. Like, let me cut it back. So I went down to 175. Now I sit at about 160 for jiu-jitsu, and I still look pretty solid. And I'm very much more confident in myself than I was whenever I was 120, because I felt like a shell of a man. I felt like a little boy while I was 18. You know, I shouldn't have been 120 at 18. So those two things, it's the hard work that goes into it. Because if you could just, boom, get the physique you wanted, like if I was 120, I could just snap my fingers and be 175, lean, shredded, a lot of muscle. It wouldn't mean as much. Like, I'd see it and be like, damn, I look pretty good. But I wouldn't have had that hard work factor knowing that I earned it. Whenever you earn something, it improves your confidence, and it makes you realize that you are reliable. You can rely on yourself to get things done that you want to get done. And that's one of the main factors to make you more confident in yourself, especially as a man. So that was the starting phase for me, and that went a long way, probably the furthest. Another thing that I did was just getting overall more experience in any walk of life. Dating, friendships, crazy things you go out and do. And even for me, it was like I had a little drug phase where I went through. And like, obviously I'm not recommending going to try drugs just for the experience, but those experiences did help me stop overthinking and become more confident in myself, because I had some very bad experiences with it. And I also, you know, had the good experiences, and I know what it's like. My curiosity drove me to try it, and I got some experience through it. And I've done some really wild stuff that aren't necessarily things that I would be doing, but I've done them just for the story, the experience, just to say I've done it, right? Not like necessarily bad things, just things that are crazy. Like, just to give an example, like, I think I talked about this in a past video, but my friend is a fashion designer, and he makes high-end fashion type stuff, like the out-of-the-box, like strange stuff, and he gets me to go walk on his fashion shows. And I'm by no means a model, like that's just not in my character. And I would go do it just to say I did it, and I would do some wild shit, because he just puts like theatrics on and makes me do some crazy shit. I'm like, this is fucking weird, but I'll do it. But things like that, just getting the experience. And along those lines, also the experience of maturing and becoming an adult. Like, so whenever a lot of 18-year-olds, people will stay with their parents for a long time nowadays. They'll stay with them up to like their 30s, even longer sometimes. And whenever I first turned 18, I moved out immediately. Went to about 40 minutes away, had my own house with a bunch of my friends. And for me, it was a really bad experience. The people I was living with, they were friends from high school, and I wasn't super close, didn't know a lot about them. So it was a really bad living experience for me, and I learned a lot through that, but I also got a lot of, like, even though they were bad people, I got a lot of good memories, and I felt what it was like to fully rely on myself. I didn't have any parents backing me. I was only living off of myself, I was getting my own food. I was cooking for myself. And even back then, I'm not bragging. I'm definitely not bragging. This isn't brag worthy. But at that point, I was so down. Like I wasn't working a good job because I was also in college still. But a lot of the time, I would steal from the grocery store to get my food because I couldn't afford it. And that's like peak survivability. I wasn't doing it to say, oh, I'm stealing. I'm so cool. Like I'm not a thug, right? But I was doing it out of necessity, like for survival. And again, I'm not saying to go out and steal for the experience, but being at that low point helped me mature and realize so many things about the world and gave me more confidence in myself. Now, you might be thinking, like, how does this help you with overthinking? But being in those bad situations and working your way out of it makes you realize that like the small, minute things in your life that you're overthinking, like talking to somebody or the way you walk, like these small things do not matter at all. Like if I'm going through this difficult struggle, why am I sitting here worried about what this person thinks about what I say? You know what I mean? Things like that will push you to stop overthinking because you go through so much worse that it's like, okay, why would I? It's something so small that it does not matter, right? And in the grand scheme of things, none of us matter. But that's like that's just like very the macro version of that. So whenever you go through all these difficult things and even the good things, you start experiencing things outside of your ordinary, you realize how little the small things that you overthink matter, like your appearance and things like that. Like there's so many people if you overthink the way you look. Like I remember I was in high school, I'd be sitting in the mirror like fixing my hair, like doing all this shit, trying to make sure I look good before I go out in public. But now it's like I'll go walk out. Oh, and also I wouldn't go out in certain outfits. Like I wouldn't go out in like my like sweatpants and like something like a messy shirt because I'm like worried about everybody's thinking about me. But now it's like, well, I don't care I care to an extent how I look, right? Like I want to be presentable. But if it's like day to day, I'm going to the grocery store, I'm not gonna get fitted up, like trying to be all handsome because I'm just running inside, right? But before, I'd be worried about people thinking about me. Like now, I'll leave jiu-jitsu sweaty as hell. I'm in gi pants, they look goofy. I'm wearing a compression shirt and slides on my bare feet, and I'll walk inside and I'll just get my shit and leave. But before, I wouldn't even thought about going inside like that. I'd be like, hell no, people are gonna be judging me. People are gonna think about what's this dude wearing. But now it's like I don't care. You know what I mean? And another tip that helped me out a lot was picking up leadership roles. The reason this helps, because obviously in one aspect you're in a position of authority, you're gonna have more responsibility, and that's gonna force you to mature a little bit, and you're gonna have more, I don't say difficult tasks, but elevated tasks, I guess, for lack of better words, that are gonna again make you realize you don't really need to be worrying about this stuff. And you have people below you who are looking up to you, or you're guiding them, so that makes you think you shouldn't be caring about yourself as much and more so in helping others. And another thing that goes into that is the reliability factor. I was talking about the self-reliability earlier. With this, it's people are relying on you. That's not yourself. So you get an even more, like, I guess, extended version of that, to where now they're relying on you, so you really pick up on things, and it's an even more enhanced factor of that, everything I was talking about earlier. So those are really the main ones. And I had two more. Oh, a big one. I've talked about this a lot on my channel, is forcing yourself into uncomfortable situations. This was one that helped me out a ton, and it was something that obviously is uncomfortable because I'm putting myself in uncomfortable situations. So of course it's going to be hard. It's going to be uncomfortable to be in. But I would literally go out of my way to do things that make me feel awkward, do things that I would typically overthink, by literally just hopping into it, talking to somebody who I don't know is a stranger, because that's something that I did not like to be doing. It made me feel very uncomfortable, and I'd be in the back of my head thinking about what I say. Like everything I'm saying, I'm thinking, oh, does they think that's weird? Is it okay that I said that? Like I'd be doing things like that. And in forcing yourself in those situations, you get comfortable in the uncomfortable. So the more you're in it, the less you overthink because you've been there before. It's giving yourself evidence. Whenever you give yourself that evidence that you can handle it, you're not going to overthink it because you've been here before. I've been here before. I can do this. That's all it is, and that's what confidence is at the end of the day. Just giving yourself evidence that you've been here. You know what to do, so you can do it again. No one's really confident the first time they go into something. You have to develop the experience and the skill. So the more you do something, eventually you're going to be confident and competent in it as well. And then lastly, getting a deep understanding, not just surface level, but a deep understanding that how little other people's opinion matter. Like you can think surface level, like obviously you can be sitting there thinking like, I know their opinion doesn't matter, but I just can't get it out of my head. That's how I was for a long time. But the more you let that sit in your head, it's like a seed, right? I tell you that, you start thinking about it. Like, yeah, people's opinions really don't matter. Why have I been thinking that? But you still can't act on it, even knowing that, because you still feel that, like, but I don't want him to think that way about me. I know he's thinking about me. Like, it's still in the back of your head. But you have the seed now, and eventually, the more you think about it, the seed slowly grows and grows, and it sprouts, and then you actually believe it. So that's just like an overtime type of deal. But whenever you actually get that deep understanding, like, it really does not matter. Like, I'm not going to see this person much. And if I do see them, if they are judging me, I don't really want them in my life anyways. It's kind of, that's like the deeper part of it, but there's so much more to it, but you kind of have to form that understanding yourself. Same with most of these concepts that I'm talking about. You don't really understand the importance until you actually do it and experience it yourself. And whenever I did these things, like, in the process, I wasn't really necessarily going out trying to be more confident or trying to stop overthinking. It was just a natural course of my life, which I'm thankful for. I was just following what was coming towards me and what was necessary. Like, it was kind of inevitable for me to get to this point, and it kind of led me to making these videos, kind of led me to whatever, right? It was just part of my life, and now I can share it. But again, you don't understand what you're experiencing until after the fact. Obviously, certain ones of those things I made intentionally happen, like getting into uncomfortable situations. But for the most part, it just happened. And like getting in the gym, that wasn't to become more confident. I just wanted to be more attractive for girls. that's to sum it up. I wanted to look more like a man and be more attractive. And then it ended up turning into something completely different. Now I do it for health reasons, and the confidence that I gained was just a side effect from trying to be more attractive. So that's how almost all the things that I just described were. But if you can actively try to make it happen, purposefully do it, then it really has an impact, because you know what to expect, and whenever you feel it, it clicks like, oh, this is what he was talking about, and you'll see it for yourself. And you might have done a couple of these things, and you can agree, like, yeah, that has helped me mature and stop overthinking as much and become more confident. But because you can realize those things helped you, hopefully you can take my word for it and realize that the other things also will help, so you can put those into practice as well, and hopefully make you a better man or woman if you're watching this as a girl. I don't know, whatever you are. So hope you got some value from this video. If you did, appreciate it if you would subscribe. Besides that, see you in the next one.